St. Louis Cardinals just completed another season middling in the National League Central, and with the core of the team reaching their mid 30s, the team is left with some major questions regarding their future entering the offseason. Questions of a teardown are circling, but with me as the general manager, I'm willing to give them the first half of the season to prove themselves next year. And that means acquiring free agents that will round out this roster. This is the 13th team of the Rebuilding October series, which is where I rebuild a new team every day across the month of October. So whether you're looking for your favorite team or just curious as to how every team will approach the offseason, this is the series for you. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video. Before we can get too deep into who the team will be grabbing in free agency, we have to look at who the team will be releasing into the free agent pool. The most notable name on the list has to be Paul Goldschmidt, who had the worst season of his professional career. While I wouldn't be so quick to jump on the Goldschmidt going into rapid decline bandwagon, the numbers he put up last season can't be argued with, as it was a bad season for what you would expect from the former MVP. The strikeout and walk rate both trended in the wrong direction by substantial margins, with more ground balls than ever. He is still hitting the ball relatively hard, but the side of Goldschmidt's game that made him so special seemed to slip a bit, and his traditional stats took a big hit as a response to that. With that, the Cardinals will be releasing him into free agency and will look to find offensive production elsewhere. Joining him on the list of players that hit the free agent market is Kyle Gibson, who is faced by a $12 million club option. Simply put, the Cardinals need to go in a different direction with the team's starting pitching, and a part of that means getting rid of some of the inning eaters in favor of some players with some higher upside. And it's a very similar situation with Lance Lynn, who's faced by an $11 million team option. Admittedly, Lynn didn't have the worst 2024, posting a 3.84 ERA across 117 innings pitched, but with Miles Michaelis already filling that innings eating role on the team, there are better options in the starting pitching market. Another option the team has over a pitcher, this time from the bullpen, is a $6 million option over Keenan Middleton. Despite not pitching in 2024 due to his lingering arm injury that eventually resulted in arm surgery, it makes sense for the Cardinals to retain the righty reliever for the measly $6 million. Middleton has proven in 2023 that he was still able to produce high quality innings. It would be a low risk, high reward sort of investment for the Cardinals, who could always flip the reliever if the season doesn't go to plan. A bullpen arm that the Cardinals would love to hold on to is Andrew Kittredge, who's put up great numbers over the last 5 seasons with a 2.47 ERA across 182 innings in that span. In this world, the Cardinals will lose out on the righty to the Blue Jays. It'll be a big blow to a bullpen that will need to be replaced. And then there's Matt Carpenter, who made his return to the Cardinals and is likely to retire after the season. Last season, he posted a 686 OPS, mainly off the bench, and he's already spent some time as an analyst for the MLB Network. No matter if he does decide to play in 2025, I'm not sure it should be part of the 2025 Cardinals. Staying on the internal side of things, there is a list of prospects that can make their respective impact on the Major League roster in 2025. The first of which is Tink Hence, the second best prospect in the Cardinals system and 61st best prospect in baseball. Hence is so exciting because his fastball changeup combination and a solid curveball and slider to add on top of that with decent control. In 2024, Hence posted a 2.71 ERA across 20 starts at the AA level, and you would expect him to make the roster at some point throughout the middle to later portion of the year, depending on personal and team performance. Another big time pitcher who could get his crack at the majors even sooner is Quinn Matthews. Matthews ascended quickly through the Cardinals system this season, making it all the way from A ball to posting 4 starts at AAA at the end of the season. Matthews made his name after a 156 pitch outing in college, but he had limited upside coming out of the draft. After his uptick in velocity this season, there is hope that he will develop to even being more than a back into the rotation sort of guy. A guy who's already had a cup of coffee in the majors is Thomas Sagasi. Sagasi was able to make it to the majors behind the struggles at the major league level and his own personal success in the minor leagues. Sagasi doesn't have the big time tools that make a prospect exciting, but he does a lot of things well, and with his versatility, will look to stick around at the major league level. Jimmy Crooks is the next prospect to have a chance at cracking the major league roster, albeit it will take some injuries due to the catchers already on the roster. Crooks is pretty solid behind the plate in every regard, whether it be receiving, throwing out runners, and blocking, and even his bat came around in 2024, posting a 908 OPS across 90 games. If he can continue to post that sort of production, he will become a really exciting prospect that'll be hard to keep off the major league roster, even if it is in a limited role. Heading back to the exciting group of pitchers the Cardinals have been brewing, we have to talk about Takoa Roby. Roby has some really exciting stuff for a prospect to not crack the top 100 prospect list. And the reasoning for keeping him off this time is the production he has had left on the field and his little time he has been able to pitch. Across his 4 minor league seasons, Roby has posted a 4.76 ERA and has only been able to post 24 starts across the last 2 seasons. His stuff is undeniable, but we need to see him put it all together for a full season at peak production. And then the Cardinals have two prospects that can make their mark on the roster, admittedly with a much smaller upside projection. This includes Cooper Hjerpe and Michael McGreevy, who was able to crack the major league roster last season. Both have their quirks, but neither are prospects that you hold roster spots for. To start the free agent period, the Cardinals will need to replace Paul Goldschmidt. The problem being the team will not make the big splash of Christian Walker or P. Alonso, so when looking at the secondary options, that leaves Justin Turner as the signing in hopes of replacing Mr. Goldschmidt. It's a crazy world where Turner was able to outproduce Goldschmidt in 2024, but that's the world we live in. Despite getting moved to Seattle in the middle of the season, Turner remained an above average bat. He might not have the pop that came from Goldschmidt, but he was a lot more consistent in 2024. Part of the issues for the 2024 Cardinals also stemmed from the lack of production from the outfield. You have to bank on Jordan Walker bouncing back, and with Nootbaar being a fine option, it leaves a necessary third offensive first option for Siani to fill in for at times. That production is going to come from Jesse Winker, who would be making his appearance on a third National League Central team. However, this year, he was able to resurrect his career with the Washington Nationals, and then made his move to the New York Mets. This season, he was able to post a 764 OPS while hitting 14 homers. Not exactly a superstar, but a definite offensive upgrade over Siani, who again will defensively replace him when it makes sense. The Cardinals also need to make some additions to the rotation with upside, but won't require a long term deal. The first of which is Michael Lorenzen, formerly of the Kansas City Royals. Lorenzen has very quietly posted a 3.31 ERA in 2025 across 26 games. While this season has been a bit of an outlier from the former bullpen arm, it has still been a solid season. Lorenzen won't command a high salary or a long-term deal and makes someone who has definite upside that will be expendable if the things with the Cardinals don't work out in 2025. And then the final player the team will be adding to the rotation will be Yusei Kikuchi. Over the past 2 seasons, Kikuchi has posted a 3.96 ERA with a 3.78 FIP and looked even better with his tenure with the Astros across the final stint of the year. Again, though, this is the type of pitcher who won't command a long tenure or a salary too large for the Cardinals to feel comfortable moving on from him if the team is not great in 2025. And the final addition of the team is Ryan Presley, who the Astros will struggle to hold on to considering the team's financial position. Presley continues to put up good numbers into his mid 30s, albeit he might not be the dominant reliever we once knew. The Cardinals will be in search of a guy who can get to Ryan Helsley unscathed more time than not, and Presley would add back that missing length of the bullpen in the wake of Kittredge leaving. It is a slight downgrade in terms of production, but it's still a really solid player. And that leaves the Cardinals with a roster of Williams Contreras at catcher, Justin Turner at first base, Brendan Donovan at second, Mason Wynn at short, and Nolan Arenado at third, who you hope can bounce back offensively. Jesse Winker would start in left, Nootbaar in center, and Walker in right, who needs to have a breakout season, with Alec Burleson at DH. The bench would consist of Pedro Pagas at backup catcher, Michael Siani as the fourth outfielder, Thomas Sagasi for his defensive versatility, and Nolan Gorman, who you hope can turn it around next season. The rotation would be headlined by Sonny Gray, with Eric Fede and Yusei Kikuchi filling out the middle of the rotation, with Michael Lorenzen and Miles Michaelis finishing out the rotation, with room for the top pitching prospects to make the team. Is this team incrementally better than last year's squad? No, not particularly, and no, not on the surface. But I think this team has improved the role pieces and requires some stars like Arenado and Walker to bounce back, while people like Nolan Gorman could always return to the major league roster and rake. Truthfully, I just hated to be the one responsible for this team getting torn apart, and I wanted this team to have a chance to prove themselves one more time before getting ripped to pieces. Hopefully, they can start out hot because baseball is better when St. Louis is a playoff contender.